Hi there, I am Laina Orlando, and I am super excited because today I was inspired to share with you this message from A Course in Miracles. As you know, I've started receiving these nudges, this guidance to share some of the really truly important teachings in the Course, especially right now. Those of us who have been on a spiritual journey for a while and understand the distinction between being awake and just being self-aware realize that we are in the process of going through a great awakening that is going to absolutely shock the heck out of us, because what has been blocking our awareness from the truth that we are the light of the world, that we are one with God, that we are the presence of the creative source here, regardless of what you call it, we are headed on a very quick trajectory towards a really, I'm going to say, uncomfortable period of time that is coming, because as within, so without. In order to awaken from the insanity of our ego mind internally, we must awaken from the insanity of what the ego mind has done externally. As within, so without. As above, so below. So what I want to share with you today, what I was nudged into looking at inside of A Course in Miracles, because all of my teachings are from A Course in Miracles. I've been given information to teach direct, which is called the power of awareness. And that came about 10 years before I was guided to become a student of A Course in Miracles 10 years ago. And then I was guided to teach from the Course in Miracles. I mean, it's already, to me, one of the most amazing teachings in the whole world. And it comes directly from the teacher, Jesus, who is a consciousness that 2,000 years ago walked on this planet wanting to awaken us to the insanity that the leaders of that time, the heads of the Jewish faith, that the heads of the Roman Empire were attempting to suppress people because they were worshiping the god of money. They were worshiping the egoic mind, the mind that operates in separation, in duality, in greed, in causing suffering. These were the people who, in the name of God, murdered people. You know, they murdered Jesus. They felt righteous in their sentencing people to incredible suffering. So it's taken us about 2,000 years to get humanity to the point that we realize that, suffering is not necessary. When we honor the truth of who we are, when we feel the light of God inside of us, when we know that what is inherently natural inside of us is the ability to be kind and gentle and care and share and uplift and support and just all around collaborate with one another, we begin to look at what's happening in the world today. And today is March. I don't even remember what day it is. Maybe the 6th. I don't remember. It's Sunday, 2021. And when you begin to become self-aware, you go through a process of seeing that the world is kind of insane. Then you go through another stage where you begin to wake up in the insanity, and you realize that you can choose something else. And then there comes the awakening where you're totally outside of the dream. And now you are seeing everything, but you're seeing it through the eyes of God. I actually did a little drawing to try and explain what this is about. So when we begin the process of awakening, we are waking up to the realization, not necessarily the awareness of our ego, but the realization that there are two voices inside of us, that we don't have to listen to the voice in our head. And we begin to want to choose the voice of God. So we move into the outer circle where we begin to wake up in the dream. So this is the nightmare the ego has created. In my previous video, I showed you the drawings of the yin and yang sign, and I explained, the darkness and the light. So when we begin to wake up, we're waking up inside of the insanity of the world. We are seeing the darkness in ourselves. We're beginning to look at our pain. We're beginning to wake up from that. Then we go to the outer circle, which is when we're beginning to realize that we can choose between love and fear, the voice of God or the voice of ego. However, that doesn't make us awake yet. That just makes us even more self-aware. We're starting to become aware. Here, we're really aware that the choice is always between two voices. Here is when we begin to dabble inside of the world with what would be known as the fifth dimension of consciousness. This is the third dimension. We live with a very limited idea of who we are, what's going on. We think that the outer world is real. Here, we're beginning to step outside of the illusion. We are now looking at the world going, oh my God, it really is insane. Now it's a neutral perspective because you're looking at it from a place inside that has gone through the process of awakening. First seeing the insanity, then realizing that you can choose differently, and then embodying the truth of who you are, which is the love that you are. Your consciousness, your mind has been expanded to realize that if love is what you are, you and the Father, Mother, God are one, then you just are that. You're not choosing between the two, you're being the one that you actually are. And the fifth dimension of consciousness is where humanity is going. The Great Awakening is the opportunity to realize that what doesn't work, we don't want anymore. So we are connecting with those who are like-minded, like-hearted is what I prefer to think of, and are wanting to co-create a world that is founded on kindness, on love, on gentleness, on compassion. And to get to that, I had to be able to come to the place where I looked at my spiritualized ego. That's the part of me that thought, oh, I'm spiritual. I teach spiritual teachings. And I am a spiritual being. And I can channel the energy of God. And I can help with the healing process of others. And that's a wonderful place. But if there is any fear left in us, if we're still operating between love and fear, and we're accepting fear, we're afraid of what happens to the body, we run around scared about sickness or getting hurt or getting killed or somebody dying. If we're operating with any trace of fear, we cannot actually look at what the ego has made and basically take our power away from it. So anything that gives the fear an opportunity to be our reality is really helping us to see what we want to shift. So let me read. This is from the Course in Miracles. This is inside chapter 11 in the text. And this is a section of the text called God or the Ego. And now I am in section number 5, which is titled The Dynamics of the Ego. So no one can escape from illusions unless he looks at them, for not looking is the way that they are protected. So right now, we have lots of spiritual people, well-meaning people. And when I say spiritual people, people who follow the teachings of the consciousness, that, higher consciousness, whether it's unity, science of mind, spiritual living. There's so many different, even Hinduism or Buddhism, who are practicing non-duality and are coming into the place of realizing that everything is light, everything is love, everything is one, and that's all well and good. But in this world that we are appearing to be having a human experience in, to not look at what is not loving, to not look at what operates in duality, to not look at what is the cause of all suffering, is to allow it to continue, is to allow it to have power over us. So let me read this again. No one can escape from illusions unless he looks at them, for not looking is the way they are protected. I went through a period where I was like all about, anything negative, cancel. I don't want to say that word. I don't want to manifest that. I'm giving it power. I only want, love and light, and I only want what is high frequency, all the while denying my darkness, all the while denying what's dark in the world. Now that is a stage that we go through as we are moving out of the world the ego made, and we're moving our way out to the next level. And we're going to go through stages in this journey. We don't just wake up and it's done. We have moments of awakening, and then starts the work. Because the work is about questioning all of our thoughts, because all of our thoughts have created our reality. So let me read this again. No one can escape from illusions unless he looks at them, for not looking is the way they are protected. We have to look at the insanity our ego has made. We have to look at why are there so many sick people on this planet. We have to look at why is there so much poverty. We have to look at why is there so much hunger. We have to look at why are there so many people incarcerated? Why are there so many people uneducated? Why are there so many people afraid of God? Why are there so many people running around in fear that they're going to catch a virus? Why are there so many people afraid of their government? Why are so many people thinking that they have the right to make others afraid of them? Why is there rampant crime? Why are so many people lying to one another? Why is there so much depression? Why is there so much addiction? Why is there so much darkness on this planet? If we don't look at what is dark and ask why is that happening, we ourselves are not grounded in the truth that we deserve better. We don't understand that we are the light of the world. If we're not questioning what is not okay, we do not know what is sovereign inside of ourselves. And too many spiritual people today, I know, again, I was one of those. Too many spiritual people don't want to look at the darkness or want to say, why are you bothering looking at that? Because you are creating your own reality, so just think about the positive thoughts. Again, we have a very tricky ego mind that has us look at what is shiny and beautiful and chase unicorns and butterflies and crystals and wonderful things like that. But if we are not able to look at what is dark and say no to it from a place that is at peace within, just as Jesus taught us, just as Martin Luther King Jr. taught us, just as Gandhi taught us, then we ourselves are being bamboozled by our own ego mind that is wanting to deny the darkness to keep us in fear. And by not having us look at the darkness, it pretends it is not there. And guess what it does? It activates our fear of it. It allows us to be afraid of it. So this continues to say, there is no need to shrink from illusions, from fear, for they cannot be dangerous to one who is not afraid. That's really powerful. If there's anything in the world that is scaring you, it's because you're still thinking with the ego mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. We just need to be honest with ourselves and continue to do the work that allows us to move beyond the egoic mind and ground ourselves in the mind of God, the mind of truth, the mind of sovereignty. We are ready to look more closely at the ego's thought system because together we have the lamp that will dispel it. And since you realize you do not want it, you must be ready. And the we here is Jesus, who channeled A Course in Miracles, is saying, it is with us, the Holy Spirit, the voice of truth. We all have our guides, whatever you want to call them, guides, channeled angel, whatever you want to call it. We all have access to that fifth dimensional voice. The fifth dimension of consciousness is to tap into the mind of God, which is what all amazing musicians and poets and scientists like Tesla, like Einstein, they tap into something that wasn't here before, and they bring it forth into this illusion of separation, of limitation. So if we are studying the Course in Miracles and we're going deep into the teachings, we must be ready to want to undo our suffering. And that's why it is saying here that together with the voice for truth, we have the lamp. Truth is a lamp that allows us to illuminate what's going on in the darkness. When we walk into this dark world of suffering and we bring the lamp, the light of truth, it dispels that darkness. Now, in the practical sense, you can walk around into a murder scene with a lamp and it's not going to make the murder go away. But if you know the truth in your heart, you're going to look at all of these things in a very different way. You're going to understand that anything that is corrupt in this world, anything that causes suffering, is simply people who are stuck inside of the ego's world, where the ego has created a very small idea in our mind of who we are. And until we question our thoughts and know that we're not our thoughts, we cannot go outside of the thoughts to feel the love that we are, that is compassion, it's forgiveness, it's what allows us to heal. And once you move out of that phase of healing yourself, you step outside and you walk in the world but not of it. This is when you want to assist in the healing of the planet. Of course, this is a planet of free will. We can't make anybody believe this, but those who are ready, when the students are ready, we have to be the teachers who appear with the truth in our hearts. And we share it like I share it here on Facebook. You share your messages, with your audience. You listen to other teachers. Everybody is giving us a nugget in this next part. So let us be very calm in doing this, in bringing our lamp into the darkness. For we are merely looking honestly for truth. The dynamics, quote unquote, of the ego will be our lesson for a while, for we must look first at this to see beyond it, since you have made it real. We have made suffering real. We have made darkness real. We have to look at it from a place of calm inside of us so we can begin to look beyond it. We will undo this error quietly together and then look beyond it to truth. I do these series called We Are the Light of the World. I am the light of the world, and I put them on my Facebook or on my YouTube channel, LainaOrlando.com, and you can find all of these videos there. But we are the light of the world, but we cannot see the darkness that is in the world and dispel it until we find that lamp inside of us, a lamp of truth. Course in Miracles has helped me change my life, and I cannot say amazing enough things about it because I've been teaching this now for over 14 years. I help people look at their ego and shift from the darkness and the meanness and the judgment and the fears that our ego wants us to believe are okay, and shift into allowing ourselves to see more clearly that we really are loving beings. We are kind. Deep down, we are kind, we're generous, we're compassionate, we are loving. But we cannot access that part of us, which is actually the part that heals us. It's the part that heals our body. We cannot access that part and be authentically awake until we are willing to look at the darkness. I'm going to read this sentence again. No one can escape from illusions, the illusion of separation, unless he looks at them, the illusion of separation. Look at where we're separate. Look at the things we don't like. For not looking is the way that they are protected. There's a lot of suffering going on in the planet, and if we don't face it head on and say no to it, it will continue. Sure, we can move on in our spiritual journey and continue to do our inner work, but the darkness out there is a reflection of what hasn't been looked at in here. So I strongly recommend that if you are on a journey and you want to move beyond these levels, you want to move past the ego, you want to go to the place where you can choose between love and fear, don't stop there. Go to where you connect with God and there is only love. That's the 5D, fifth dimension of consciousness. That's where bliss happens. That's where the world is going to be transformed into the new earth. But you have to be the bringer of the new earth, and you cannot bring the new earth while there's darkness on this planet that you cannot look at and say no to it. And we do that when we bring the lamp, the truth that is inside of us, because we cultivate a relationship with it. Thank you so much. If you like this, please share it. And this is part 2 of the earlier video that got caught off with the message that I received. And anyhow, I love you, brother or sister. And I absolutely know that we are the light of the world. And that's what I stand for, is my truth and yours. And it's what I will continue to uphold as I say no to the darkness that is not acceptable in a planet that God created for us to be happy on, to bring heaven to earth. Thanks a bunch and have a beautiful day.